Welcome to this week's Weekend Watch, guys, kindly sponsored by SBK. Hopefully you've had a good couple of days at the Dante Festival and filled up those pockets for this weekend, and hopefully the guys can help you find some winners at Newbury and Newmarket or anywhere else. We had a few winners last week. We had a couple of bigger priced each way horses as well run well. Got quite a lot of small fields this week. I don't know whether that's a combination of a busy week's racing or the forecast rain that we have or haven't had. I'm not sure, but fingers crossed that'll make things even easier for Daryl and Andrew to find you some winners. We start with the Newbury 150 at the Carnarvon Stakes, and Creative Force, a really interesting horse, I thought, progressing really nicely, and as with most Godolphin inmates, cost plenty of money as a yearling. I think it's what Andrew gets paid for GG. I think it was about 400 grand that this one cost. Plenty of family members that are winners, lots of siblings as well. So I think he'll enjoy the track as well a bit better at Newbury. So like the look of the Creative Force. Andrew, do you want to start us?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm going to take on Daryl's nap, Creative Force. I know he loves this horse. I mean, only been beaten once in his career. That's when I tipped him up in the Racing Post Spotlight for the Coventry Stakes at Royal Ascot. So that was probably why. But I'm quite keen on Happy Romance here. Creative Force has been running fantastically well this season. 2 from 2, but both came on good to firm ground, different conditions today. So at the prices, I thought I'd side with Happy Romance, who, of course, won the Super Sprint here last year. Now, this horse has been found out by Group 2 company on a couple of occasions, but running below that level. It's 5 wins from 5 starts now, and I was really impressed with her listed win at Chelmsford last time, because she came from off the pace and she raced wide on a track that typically favours low-drawn prominent races. So on a track she likes, say unbeaten in this sort of grade, that's Happy Romance for me, around about 9-2.
Yeah, I've got 11-2 here, Happy Romance. So
even
either
better.
Or, yeah, that'd be great.
Keep going. Give me 6.
Yeah,
I'll give you 66.
Do you like Creative Force for this, Daryl?
Yeah, this is a Group 1 horse in the making. Absolutely, I'm really impressed with this horse. It was at Newmarket, first time out this season, albeit off a mark of 89. I mean, it was £20 well in, but it was so impressive. We left some really good horses just for dead. Then goes back to obviously the same track and beats Perotto. Perotto actually took a big step forward on all of his figures that day. He runs over at Newmarket, so I'd be interested to see how he gets on. Yeah, I think, like you, going away from Newmarket, actually, I think Newmarket was actually hindering him rather than helping him. He just didn't look to handle the dip. I know he's raced there 3 times and won there 3 times. It's mad to say. But I think a flatter track like Newbury, he's just going to be able to quicken and get away. I think I'm basing a lot of this on just basically experience and seeing horses, and you know what you feel when you see a horse. This is a very good horse. I've been trying to get prices for him for the Royal Ascot, for the Commonwealth Cup, and for the Jersey, because I think you get 7 as well, and seeing what he's going to be, because he's not got that sort of classic part of the season with him. So I think you're going to get a big price. Trying to get a big price before this weekend, because I think he's very good. I really do think he's very good, and I think he should be much better than these. Tactical obviously sets the standard here, rate 112. So he's going to have to be as good as I hope he is to win this. But I think the drop back and trip for Tactical was not beneficial at all. I think the best work this horse has done has come at the end of 6 furlongs and over 7, and at the end of 7 furlongs. Stamina's built into the pedigree, so I thought Tactical dropping back and trip was probably not going to be a big positive there. The one I am really worried about is a horse that I've been following for a long time, and this horse has been so unlucky. Michelle Star, 12-1, rated 90. I'm devastated they're not going into a handicap, because I think this horse is £10 ahead of its mark. Returned at Chelmsford the other day behind Happy Romance, was 9-1 5 minutes before the off, backed right down to 4-1 before the off. Got no run coming around the home turn at Chelmsford, but then pulled wide and sprinted on, was beaten 3 lengths. I'm telling you now, Michelle Star would have beat Happy Romance that day, and she's going to come on for that run. Last year, she was just so impressive when she won at Nottingham, very easily. Impressive when she won at Kempton. Her only blip on her CV came at Newmarket in heavy ground. You can forgive that. First run at Newmarket in heavy ground, completely forgive that. So this Michelle Star is the one that I'm going to have a stake cover bet on Michelle Star, just in case Creative Force bombs out. But Creative Force, nap of the day. Shop around as well, because there are better prices out there at the moment. So yeah, Creative Force wins.
The good news is you don't need to persuade me, because I agree. I suppose the downside, and obviously if you like Michelle Straw and you like that run, you'll be disappointed if you watch her run and she runs really well in second. She'll probably get put up £8 and then she's not that well in anymore. But we'll see what happens.
Exactly. That's why I was hoping they'd go
if she
handicap.
gets close to Tactical or Creative Force, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and she is definitely talented. She's not one to write off, that's for sure. It's 12-1.
Yeah. Okay. Creative Force for me and Daryl then, and Happy Romance for Andrew. So neither of us, any of us, going for the favourite Tactical. On to the next at Newbury. The 225 is a Group 3, the John Porter Stakes. That's over a mile. And again, small field, unfortunately. I'm looking forward, though, to seeing that very impressive last time out scorer in Al Arzi. Daryl, do you want to start for Al Arzi?
Yeah, this is a no bet race for me. I'll get that straight out of there. This is quite tricky, I think. Al Arzi, definitely the right fav. Was impressive last time, albeit the form has taken a few knocks since. And that, I just look back at that race now, and I go back through the form, and I just sort of think, wasn't that great of a race, was it? But he did look a group performer going forward. You
can only beat what's put in front of you.
You can, and he did do it very, very well. So you can almost sort of discard the form a little bit, really, because he did it so well. Logician, rightful second fav. The market's got this spot on. Logician, rightful second fav. Thunderous in there. Logician's interesting. I thought that St. Ledger win over Sir Ron Priestley's worked out really well. And his run before that over Constantinople worked out well. The form was there. The impressive style of performance was there. He runs in he was obviously a sick horse last year. That's why he didn't start till September. He runs in a two-runner race over Mythical Magic, wins over Mythical Magic, then goes to York and just disappoints. It was soft ground that day, but there was no Frankie Dettori in sight.
And they didn't say it was the soft ground either, did they? They just said, they didn't really find anything. That's the bit that bothers me.
Yeah, exactly me as well. Rab Havlin that day went over to Newmarket to ride 4 for Gosden over there. Yeah. So I just thought, it just seems like they knew he may not have been right the week before.
Yeah.
The presence of Frankie Dettori today, what I'm getting at, means that he's probably fit enough to do himself justice. Whether or not they're going to want to get into a ding-dong battle first time up with Logician, with bigger targets probably down the line, I don't know. And whether or not Frankie will just give him an easy time of things. Could be the case.
Yeah, as in if he's very easily good enough, they'll win with him. And if it's going to be a bit of a battle, they'll say, we don't want to give him a hard time after the last flop and he's not ran for a while.
Yeah, exactly. He's a lightly raced horse. We've got bigger targets down the line. I was talking to the Arc at one point, wasn't he? I thought Thunderous was rock solid, to be honest. This horse has been a bit disappointing. His form's a little bit suspect, but I thought it was a good run last time at Newmarket behind Sir Ron Priestley. Just under hands and heels from Ryan Moore. He stays on board. Mark Johnson seems to... I was against a lot of his horses last year because I just thought he was running them into the ground. But he seems to run them into form. And I think this lad might take some racing to get fit. So he's a course and distance winner. It's going to be a no-bet race for me. But I thought Thunderous could just be a bit of a fly in the ointment here over Alassi. So.
And he's got Ryan Moore, who's operating at about a 30% strike rate constantly at the moment. Right. So that's a positive, isn't it? I think. And the ones that haven't won have all been placed. Andrew?
Yeah, interesting race this. Fascinating to see how Logician gets on this year. I mean, he was chinned at short odds when we last saw him. But post-race, John Gosden said he'd basically been in intensive care for 2 months. The horse, not John Gosden. So, and it was a case of keeping him for a 5-year-old campaign. So, Daryl rightly says, will he be wound up the first time out? Perhaps not. So, maybe this race is when to take him on. Yeah, I mean, Al Arzi's solid enough, having bolted up in the John Porter over course and distance last time out. But there's nothing to write home about in the price. I mean, I thought Al Arzi would probably win. If Logician's not tuned up and he doesn't like the ground, then maybe we could see an outsider sneak into second place. And I was interested in Rainbow Dreamer in the without the favourite market. I know the trip's on the short side. He's won over 2 miles, 2 furlongs on the flat here at Newbury. But he loves small fields. All 10 of his career starts have come in single-figure lineups. He was given a shocking ride by Martin Harley on finals day at Lingfield last time. Everything was right for him. He was held up. He was going to come there on the outside. and then he's had a rush of blush to the head, and he rushed him around the outside and ruined his chance. He's still not beaten far in 4th place. So yeah, Rainbow Dreamer won't mind if it gets softer than the current description of good to soft. Say loves small fields. If they go a decent pace, hopefully Thunderous will take them along. Then maybe he could finish 2nd or 3rd at a big price. He's around about 25 to 1, I think.
Yeah, big price. Well, yeah, as you say, if Al-Azi something to finish 2nd to that, and Logician does flop, hopefully he doesn't, but we'll see. The 3 o'clock at Newbury, Class 2 handicap, and we've got a few more runners for this, which is definitely a positive. My nap goes in here. Come on, another each way price nap, and it's Oz Legend in this one. I thought that Newcastle piece of form with Council looks like a fairly good race. A few of the horses in there, I think, were 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that. They've come out and won since, so it looks okay, that form. And I thought he ran really well at Windsor to finish as close as he did when he finished 3rd. The ground was probably a bit quick. He was a bit slowly away and slowly into stride, and then stayed on really well. So I think a bit of juice in the ground won't do that one any harm. And I think he's better than his mark as well. Only has to carry 8 stone 2, so next to no weight, and I think he's about 12 to 1. So my nap Oz Legend goes in the 3 o'clock. Andrew, do you want to start?
Yeah, tricky one. I was considering siding with Dingle for Richard Hannon, who probably needed the run first time out when 3rd to Mithras here over 7 furlongs. He's then gone to Sandown over a mile at the distance of his last win. But he's raced on the outside of the track. There was a massive inside bias at Sandown that day. It didn't matter whether you were leading, sitting in 3rd, sitting in 7th place. As long as you're on that inside rail for as long as humanly possible, you had a chance of winning. Now, he was always trapped wide that day, sitting wide of the front runner in the Moose, and faded into 5th. Now, he's stepping up to 10 furlongs. I mean, sometimes you watch him, you think he wants to come back to 6. Other times you're thinking 10's going to be, the perfect trip for him. So I'm expecting him to leave that Sandown form well behind. He's around about 12 to 1, I think. But I can't get away from the stout runner, Bay Bridge. He went into the tracker for that 2nd run as a juvenile when he was 4th at Kempton. He was stuck out wide in stall 12 of 12 that day. He's performed miracles to finish where he has. And then we've only seen him once since. He's gone to Newcastle over this trip, absolutely bolted up. Now, the horses in 2nd and 3rd that day weren't anything special, but you go back to that that 4th place at Kempton on his 2nd start. You've got Rebel Romance, who was last seen winning in group company in Dubai. Plenty of other horses in that race have run well since or won. On at least one occasion. You had Sonning that day for Alan King, who was back in 7th place, and he was a winner in a fast time, first time out this year. So I think that race is going to continue to throw up winners. And Bay Bridge, only around about 9 to 2, so nothing supersonic price-wise, but I'd take him over Dingle here.
Yeah, that worries me, you see, when you say about Dingle, they keep running him over different trips and then you think he wants a different trip. That just makes me think, oh, goodness. You wonder whether they'll just never find the right trip.
That's right. Could be a tripless wonder.
Yeah. Bay Bridge then just about, and is the current favourite, as Andrew said, about 9 to 2. But it is a difficult race. Daryl?
Yeah, I looked Odds Legend like you, but I was a little bit worried about the way he flashed his tail went under a little bit of pressure. He's a strange horse because he seems to get his head down and really go for the line. So he's got a good attitude in that sort of sense, doesn't he? But then the tail's flashing.
Tail about? Yeah.
I like Dubawi Sands for Roger Varian. Would be an overly strong selection, but I don't think he's shown his hand yet. He's been given an opening mark of 86. I think he's bred to be much better than that. He's a half brother to 2000 Guineas winner Galileo Gold. They've had 2 quick runs this season to get a handicap mark. Trainer seems to like this race. He's thrown a couple in here for the owners. He won it with Defoe. And at Ripon last time, he was 2 to 11 on, but he didn't handle the Ripon undulations whatsoever. He was chopping and changing his legs, trying to quicken up, and he just couldn't do it. He had to pull wide around 2 runners in front of him who were far inferior to him, both rated 77 or something like that. But pull wide, get in front of him, get across, and then I just thought he was going to learn quite a bit from that. And I thought back on a flatter track, he'd just be able to change his legs and open up that next gear. He's a nice-looking horse. He's definitely going to improve. You can bet your bottom dollar he's going to be rated higher than 86 by the end of the season. I mean, a few of these probably will be, but I thought the likes of Baybridge with an opening mark of 90 and Tambarada at 99, I just thought, they're high enough already for what they've achieved.
Yeah.
I just wanted to look further afield. I suppose it's a similar angle with your Oz legend down towards the bottom of the weights. Yeah, I thought 86 was more than fair for Dubawi Sand. So, yeah, it's an interesting little race. This race actually normally works out really well. Yeah. I've got a feeling that this is a bit below par this year.
Really? Yeah, I also thought the likes of Baybridge, Tabarado, they've all kind of been running and winning at quite easy tracks. Excuse me. Not like flat tracks that are, kind of easy. Your horse, Dubawi Sands, he won at Ripon. That's not a straightforward track, and the horses, when you're teaching them and they're learning, I think if they win at those trickier tracks, you'd hope that means that, they're a lot better than what you've seen, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly that. And I mean, that's what I mean when he's not really shown his hand yet. I don't think we've actually, it's been a Newmarket on heavy ground as well. I don't think I don't think we've seen the best of him just yet. And I think there's more to come. So, and I think he's more than a fair price. What was he?
I've got 9s.
9s. Yeah, I think that's more than fair, to be honest.
Okay. Baybridge for Andrew then at about 9-2. Dubawi Sands for Daryl currently. This is all at the time of recording, about 9-1. And Oz Legend for me at 12-1. So that's in the 3 o'clock. The feature race at Newbury is, of course, the Alshkab Lockinge 335. This race has been dominated by 4-year-olds. Lots of winners as well come out the first few in the betting, normally get them quite right. So with all that in mind, I was at Sandown when Palace Pier absolutely bolted up. He'd had the issue with his shoe beforehand, and we were all kind of worrying if that was a thing. Was he fine? And he looked in unbelievable condition, and he went and did it nicely. So interesting that John Gosden as well came over to us and said before the race, he's not 100% fit. So we'll kind of see. It was like, whether he believed that or not, I do not know, but he definitely looked fit enough to us. Just looking for the place value then in a few of these old reliables that we've seen plenty of, Daryl?
Yeah, no, I won't be looking for it. I mean, when I'm betting each way, I like to think my horse has got a chance of winning the race. I actually think Palace Pier is probably the best miler in Europe. I thought that last year. He was only beaten at Ascot by the Revenant in the QE2. I thought he looked like a tired horse that day, and I thought maybe the 2 runs prior to that, when beating Alpine Star and Pinatubo, probably took a bit out of him. It was towards the end of the season. They put him away. It's nice to see him come out of Sandown and run away with that contest like he did, because it wasn't overly strong, the race. Obviously, the disappointment of Kuzam. That horse is obviously better on the all-weather than he is on turf. So, yeah, he did what he had to do. He did it in good style. And if they're saying to you they didn't think he was 100% that day, he's going to improve from that. I thought the market had this bang on, to be honest. Lope Fernandez in second fav, the 2 unexposed horses in Meyer, Walhaan top rank in next, and then the rest, to be honest, are a much of a muchness. They'll beat each other all season. So, no bet for me. Just going to sit and watch this and hope Palace Pier continues to be the superstar that he's been so far.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen him on TV, but in person as well. He's a very big horse.
All right, Diggy.
He's got quite not you. I'm on about Palace Pier. I said that first. Sorry, Daryl.
Careful, he's very sensitive.
The next thing I was going to say is he's very big around the middle. It takes a good job.
Oh, no.
That I meant Palace Pier. No, as in from his girth, to the bottom of his belly. Oh. He's so long. Yeah, he's a very big round horse.
But he's a colt as well. Daryl's a gelding, so we're not discussing like we like here.
Right, let's move back onto the horses here, because I feel like I can't say anything now. But my point is, when you said you thought he looked tired in races, or he's perhaps had one too many races, that would be understandable, I think, as well, because he's a big horse. So I would imagine it's hard, that when they're heavy themselves on their own legs, I don't think they take out of as much racing, exactly. Which again would lead you to believe that they didn't get him 1,000% fit because they wanted to make sure he was okay and not overdo him. So he should come on from the run. I think I'll be gutted if he doesn't win, because I loved him when I saw him at Sandown. He was gorgeous. But back to selections. Would there be a bet in this race for you, Andrew?
I think I'd back one without the favourite or each way, and that would be Top Rank for the James Tate Yard. I was very impressed with that listed success in the Doncaster Mile on his comeback. Now, I know there was a headwind and he was held up, but he did race freely that day, and he was also conceding £5 to all his rivals. And he bombed out on his final start last year, a bit like Palace Pier. So Palace Pier had excuses. he lost his shoe, didn't he? Frankie Dettori was looking down.
Front shoe.
The pace held up. The winner and second were pretty much 1-2 throughout, whereas he was held up. And it was a similar story with Top Rank last year. He went to Newmarket on what was officially good ground, but it was basically closer to firm that day. He hated the ground, finished last of 6. He also raced widest of all away from the near side rail. So again, one poor run, end of a long season, you quite happily forgive that. But you look at his runs aside from that, it's 6 wins from 7 starts. That's the kind of Palace Pier strike race that we're looking at as well. So he's an incredible performance. And he got chinned once by Montatham and in a big field handicap at York. But say that Joel Stakes defeat on account of the ground out of the way, it's 6 wins from 7. He's 10-1 each way or without the favourite, I think, Palace Pier.
What about either of you? I was just looking down because we've just seen Queen Power win at York, haven't we? And that's Lady Bowthorpe finished in front of Queen Power last time out. So is Queen Power as Lady Bowthorpe a big price, or rightly so?
Stop wasting my time, Leonna. Move on.
I'm just asking.
That's a bit harsh. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we'll be getting any bookmakers offering 4 places as we have done in this race sometimes in the past, given the odds-on favourite. But something else has got a place as well as Top Rank. He'll be second at worst. So why not? I wouldn't perhaps look at Queen Power's win today as a.
Well, because of how the race worked out, and it was a small field, etc. But
Queen Power got a good pace to aim at today, whereas she didn't, in that race last time out. So, I wouldn't be totally dismissive, and 25-1, I'm certainly not going to put you off.
Well, I've got 33, so when Lady Bowthorpe runs into a place at 33s, Daryl, you know what you can do. Let's say it on here in case anyone young watch it. Not that they're meant to be. Anything else at Newbury that any of us like in any of the other races?
Not for me.
No, not for me.
Okay, Newbury finished then. On to HQ we go. The first race there for us is the 205. Listed stakes and sadly another minuscule field to pick through. There's always been lots of eyes on this John Leaper, hasn't there? Obviously, Gorgeous Page was really impressive at Newcastle. There's plenty of market support that day. Surely the way in which he won suggests that he can definitely step forward as a 3-year-old and well beyond. He was entered in the Dante, but connections didn't go there. So whether they didn't want to bottom him out or what, not sure. Interested to see how John Leaper goes, and that'll be the starting point here. We'll start with Daryl.
Yeah, he's an interesting horse, isn't he? He looked like a proper horse at Newcastle, didn't he? He did catch the eye at Doncaster on debut, and then just went and took such a big step forward at Newcastle next time. Minimum of fuss, careered away. He's quite a big horse, quite a tall horse, isn't he? It'd be interesting to see how he handles Newmarket.
Holly looked like a pea on a drum on him at Newcastle.
It'll be interesting to see how he handles the undulations of Newmarket. I suppose that for me. I know I continue to say it, but for me, that's a big thing when betting at Newmarket. I need to know a horse is going to handle that sort of track because, if they don't handle it once, they're not likely to handle it again. Fancy Man is the only one in the race who has got experience at this track, but again, he's another one. He looks a little bit trickless. He was outstayed at Chester. And then he was outpaced the time before here at Newmarket behind Highland Avenue.
I was going to say, can we sometimes ignore a Chester run though?
Yeah, I think we can. But would I fancy him back here? He's one of these horses. You get a couple of these every single year that have sort of reached this high rating of 106 because they're finishing third. And I know he's won a couple of races, but the fifth and then the third, and they're sort of being rated around other horses, and I'm not entirely sure he's that great. I don't know. I found this far too tricky. I thought Tasman Bay was the most interesting. Finished behind Hurricane Lane, who we've just seen win the Dante today. I thought that was a nice performance from him. I thought he was probably the biggest threat to John Leaper, but I mean, taking on John Leaper is simply on the fact of will he or won't he handle Newmarket. So I've not really got any sort of angle into this race. It was just going to be a watching brief for me.
Okay. Andrew?
Yeah, really tricky one this, because I mean, punters were sort of queuing up to back John Leaper the next time he ran after that Newcastle win in a fast time. But I think they'll see sort of 5-4 even money and be treating him like John Lepper and wanting to avoid him. It's short enough switching back to turf. Wouldn't be surprised if he won. Wouldn't really want to back him at that price. I mean, Fancy Man, I thought should have done better over this track on his reappearance, because he had the rail run. That was day one of the Craven meeting, when you want it to be prominent, you want it to be drawn high up that near side rail. He was only fifth, but then you could upgrade that Chester run last time out, because he was trapped wide, and he did clock a good time for that, even though he was sort of beaten almost 3 lengths. Richard Hannon has won this twice, so I was trying to make cases for some of the bigger price ones, and I was struggling. I mean, even Via Sistina I looked at, ran about 33-1, didn't shape badly on debut at Thirsk, when the 40-1 third, but this is a big step up in class. So yeah, I keep coming back to the front two in the betting, and it wouldn't really surprise me if either one won. So I don't really want to nail my colours to any particular mass, but if I had to, just Fancy Man very tentatively, I think, given the trainer's record in the race.
Yeah. Okay. There's not really as you say, an angle, which Daryl said, into that race very much. John Leaf, I think, is about 5-4 at the moment. Fancy Man 5-2. So you could take the chance on either, I guess, but it is a difficult race. 240 is the King Charles II Stakes listed contest. Melosa in this, heading affairs. She's just had the one run under her belt, and it was against the fillies, so she's pitched in against the boys now, Andrew.
Yeah, she was subject of a big gamble first time out when winning fillies only company here at Newmarket. Clocked a good time for that, but obviously this is a big step up in class. Again, she's one of these. Would it surprise you if she bolted up? No. Would you want to back her at 7-4 to find out? Probably not. No. I mean, there are more interesting ones. I mean, there's a Devilwala for Rafe Beckett, who was fourth to Master of Seas. I know that's a horse that Daryl's been keen on, and fourth in the Dewhurst last year, when she did best of those who were up with the pace. Now, she's going to blast off, you would imagine, in the first time blinkers. That's generally a positive angle for Rafe Beckett runners. And there's at a bigger price, though, Thank You Next for Richard Hannon. It was a horse we saw in action last week in that fillies handicap at Ascot. Now, again, she was fourth to lights on that day, a 20-1 shot. She's basically not stayed the trip again. It's not the first time she's been tried at a mile. And coming back in trip on ground she likes, I thought, on a track she's run well out in the past, she should get a good lead into it from Devilwala, and maybe at 10-1, Thank You Next each way could be the way to go. But yeah, another tricky race here.
Yeah, Thank You Next was the one not far behind Saffron Beach, wasn't it, at Newmarket? That was a good run. That's been a little bit disappointing since, but as you say, two of the previous runs were over a mile. So back to 7. Thank You Next, I think, is about 14-1 at the moment. Daryl?
I can't believe that this Belosa's favourite. I cannot believe how short this horse is in the market. Honestly, it's one fillies maiden race at Newmarket. All right, clocked a half decent time, but this is a massive step up in class, in against the boys. Like, she's not going to have the things all her own way. It's madness. Honestly, it's madness. You're expecting her to run up to a mark of more than 100 here to win this.
Yep.
It's crazy. I think Devilwala is well overpriced at 4-1. This horse has run 3 of his last 4 runs in Group 1 company. Takes a big drop in grade, so the complete opposite's the favourite, and his 4 times the price or whatever it is. Even sent over to the Breeders' Cup over in Kingland. I didn't think he quite got home in the Craven behind Master of the Seas. And then it was a below par effort in the Guineas. You've got to forgive that. But yeah, I mean, the career best run came over course and distance. Over the last time he ran over 7 furlongs, beaten 2 1/4 lengths by St Mark's Basilica in the Dewhurst, in the Group 1 Dewhurst. So it's just a no-brainer that the price comparisons between the two are just. Honestly, it's mad. I think it's crazy. I really do. I cannot believe Devilwala is that price. And the blinkers go on first time, as Andy's just alluded to, positive for Ralph Beckett. Going to hopefully eke out a little bit further improvement. Won't mind any rain. There's very few negatives. If you can forgive the Guineas run, which you should be able to, there's very few negatives. I've had a stake cover on Cloudbridge for Charlie Appleby, because I think this horse is going to be fit, ready to go first time up, and real progressive, nice horse. I think he's going to handle this track quite well. It just looks like the type you just get down and dirty at the finish, and I think he'll be staying on strong. So Devilwala is the selection, but because of the price, I've had a cover bet on Cloudbridge, and you're getting the two basically against a maiden fillies winner.
Yeah, and she went on good to firm ground as well. If we do get the forecast, I know we're not forecast. I don't think we'll forecast rain tomorrow at Newbury or Newmarket, but we are Saturday. So if they get more rain, it won't be ground conditions she's ever faced either. So it does seem short for all of those reasons. That's the 240. The 315 is our final scheduled race. It's a 6 furlong handicap and a nice big field to aim at. We've actually only got one course and distance winner out of all of these, and it's Les Ayres. Just Frank, what do we like in this? Daryl, do you want to start?
Yeah, I like Jumby, top of the market, finished behind Creative Force on seasonal reappearance. But if you go back and watch that run, you've got absolutely no path. Listen, he was never going to beat Creative Force, let's put it that way. But This horse has been knocking at the door in some decent company in his 4 starts. He hasn't won since debut, but this is the time now to get his head in front. Charles Bishop could find traffic in a car park. So I'm glad to see William Buick is on board on Jumby. I honestly think this horse will just win. I think he's the best horse in the race. Marker 95 is well in his realms. Perotto, who's second fav, keeping it simple here, is the danger if improving on the back of that run again behind Creative Force. But I do think Jumby's the more talented horse out of him and Perotto, and he's a little bit less exposed for me. So Jumby.
Okay, I actually do like Just Frank at the prices. I thought all conditions to suit. Perotti was behind Just Frank when Just Frank won it over at Newmarket. Perotti was back in third on that occasion. They've been trying Just Frank over 7 as well, which is pointless because he's far too keen. So I thought at the price he's 16-1, it'd be really interesting. Andrew?
Yeah, I like 2 in here. One of them is Just Frank. As you say, he's the only course and distance winner in the lineup, and also he's drawn low in stall 3. Now, when on Thursday and Friday at Newmarket, the stalls are stand side, so they're going to use that near side rail. It's going to get cut up. If it's opened up over 2 days and then rains on it on Saturday during the day, you would imagine it could be slower. There won't be a golden highway. And of course, on Saturday, they're going to put the stalls in the centre. So I think those drawn middle and low are going to have some fresh ground. Just Frank could end up on that far side rail from stall 3. I did take a chance with him at Newmarket, at Ascot last week in a race we covered, but it just nothing went right. He swerved on leaving the stalls, hampered the winner. Never attempted to make the running, was just hated being ridden with restraint. So you'd imagine he's going to revert to front running tactics, make a beeline for that far rail, and that could be it. The other one at an even bigger price is the Carl Burke runner. Let me just find it. Rebel at Dawn. Now,
the outsider of the field.
Oh, is he really? Well,
Yeah,
this one ran a belting race, a forgivable race on his final start last year at York. That was a 10-runner nursery on soft ground in October. 4 of the first 5 home were drawn 1, 2, 3, 4. The exception was a horse called Hey Mister, second from stall 10, who came out and won next time out. The horses in 6th, 8th and 9th were also poorly drawn, raced on the wrong side of the track, and have also won since. A couple of them next time out, another one 2 runs later. Now, Rebel at Dawn, no chance from stall 7 to 10 that day, raced on the slowest part of the track. We didn't see him until he was gelded and back in April. Finished 3rd at Nottingham, stumbled on leaving the stalls, probably needed that. The ground was fast, and he'd run well on soft ground last season. And then last time out, he's gone to Thirsk. And again, although the winner came on his side of the track, I think the winner might be well ahead of his mark. Tweet, and the majority of the horses who were in the first sort of 4 or 5 were on the other side of the track. So you can forgive his 2 runs since that York effort, and I just think he's the wrong price. Carl Burke's made a fairly quiet start to the season, but they're starting to run better now. He had a 25-1 shot beating ahead at York on Thursday in the shape of Corker. He's had a couple of winners as well. So, drawn in the middle, stall 9, Rebel at Dawn, as well as Just Frank.
Taking a couple of stall options. So Rebel at Dawn is the outsider of the field, 33s. That's Andrew and Just Frank, I like that one too. So that's my pick, 16-1 at the moment. And Daryl, Jumby.
Yeah.
Sticking with Jumby. Okay, that's for that 350. Anything else at Newmarket?
No, not for me.
Yeah, 425. No, 350. Walhaan, pulled out of the Victoria Cup, who I really fancied last week, is in here in a Class 3 0 to 95. Obviously, the horse that I said last week, who he was £23 better off, River Nymph, winning won the Victoria Cup. So I'm hoping.
I knew you'd be gutted when I saw it was a non-runner. It was the first thing I thought.
Gutted. I was absolutely gutted. But hopefully a bit of redemption tomorrow. He is up against a good horse, though, in Amethyst for William Haggis, who's off a mark of 87, I think, on handicap debut. Yeah. So, it's going to be between them two. Hopefully, Walhaan is good enough to win. I think that was it from Newmarket.
Yeah, okay. Walhaan for that 350 then. That's an extra one for you. Anything from anywhere else, either of you, Andrew?
Yeah, I've got a few at Thirsk in the 355. Rathbone, who just went too hard at Chester last time out, and that race won by Broken Spear, where the majority of those who fought out the finish came from miles back. And Hijacked in the 430, who was probably running second against the bias here last week. And Doncaster, the 805 Music Society, another one poorly drawn last time out, when a disappointing favourite.
Okay. Darren?
Yeah, 210 at Thirsk, a horse called Irv, running himself back into form. Really unlucky last time at Pontefract. It's just his second try in Class 5 company on good ground. He was rated 85 last year, £6 lower than his last William Market, off 72, and he's got a £7 claimer on. Expect him to go well. And at Doncaster in the 635, Hello Zabeel, horse finished behind another horse called George Peabody last time, but just really didn't have a clue what he was doing. This horse, I think, is going to be quite useful. So check out Hello Zabeel over at Donny in the 635.
Perfect. An array of tips then from everywhere. Naps for the weekend, as I said earlier, the 3 o'clock at Newbury. Oz Legend is going to be mine, currently about 12-1. Daryl?
Creative Force.
Andrew?
I'm going to go for Happy Romance and take on I'm going to raise your creative force. Go all
in
Happy
the same
Romance.
race. Well, only 2 of us can be right then. Me, obviously, and one of you two. That's it then. They're the naps and all the tips. Make sure you obviously check all those out. As always, the guys are doing videos and they're writing blogs, articles every day, so you can check them out as well. They're on GG.CO.UK. We got all the race cards as well on there for you. And again, if anything changes regards selections or anything else with the weather, we will let you know about all of that as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice weekend, and I hope you back some winners.